Hello, dear students. I welcome you all on behalf of Sri Jayendra Rangjol. Dear students, we are studying a class 11 chapter Morphology of Flowering Plant. And in that, in previous class, we have initiated one topic that is fruit. And in that, we have already talked about introductory part of fruit, what is fruit, and the types of fleshy fruit we have discussed. The another type of fruit that are the dry fruits that we are going to discuss today, and in continuation to the whatever the different topics remaining with respect to the fruit that we are going to discuss here. So if we talk about dry fruit means what? The pericarp or fruit wall of this dry fruit is dry, means it is not watery. So if pericarp is dry, non-fleshy, the fruit are called as dry fruit. Means the watery content is less or not there. So if we see this, some of the fruits, they are the somewhat dry fruits we can say, okay. But if we define them in somewhat clearly, then in dry fruits, the pericarp or fruit wall is not differentiated, is not differentiated into epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. So this pericarp is not differentiated. Comparatively, in fleshy fruit, we have discussed that the pericarp is fleshy and it is obviously differentiated into the epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. But here, this differentiation is not observed. Now, these dry fruits are further classified into dry dehiscent fruit, dry indehiscent fruit, and schizocarpic fruit. First, we are going to discuss this dry dehiscent fruit. Now, if we discuss dry dehiscent fruit, then here in this fruit, in this dry fruit, pericarp dehis means rupture or break after ripening of fruit and seeds are released or dispersed automatically, and such fruit are known as dehiscent fruit. Okay, in this dehiscent fruit, if we discuss, the fruit are going to rupture after ripening and seeds are released or dispersed outside automatically. If you discuss this fruit, then this fruit are generally multiseeded and they are particularly divided into the several part. So multiple seed are going to be present. In this, if we talk the first type of this particular fruit, then that is legume. First dry dehiscent fruit which we are going to discuss, that is a legume. This legume, in this fruit are dehisced dorsiventrally into two halves. They are going to dehisce or rupture dorsiventrally, means they are going to rupture from the dorsal as well as particularly we can say ventral half or ventral suture. This legume are also named as pod. They are also named as pod. And in this such type of example, you will see pea and bean. Okay. But one more thing is observed in this legume is that if you write some more points about this legume or pod, it is known that this fruit developed from monocarpillary, means single carpel containing superior ovary, monocarpillary superior ovary. So they are going to develop from the flower which has a single carpel, and in this the flower is hypogynous, means the ovary is going to be superior, and from this particularly fruits are going to be produced. These fruits, legumes, are generally long and multi-celled. As you can see in this pea and bean, your multiple seeds are there and they are present in this single pod. Now in this, dehiscence or rupture occur from both suture, occur from both suture or opening, that is dorsal and ventral suture. So you can see this is the two suture opening, this and this are the two sutures or the opening. You can see this is the opening. Okay, so these opening goes are known as here suture. So from the dorsal as well as ventral, from both suture, if the opening or dehiscence occur of a pericarp or a fruit wall, of a dry fruit wall, and seeds are released, then it is known as legume or pod. Now in this, it is known that dehiscence start from apex, start from apex or tip and reaches to basal part, and reaches to basal part, then this is known as legume, and it is seen in case of pea, bean. You can write gram as well. Okay, in all this particular legume fruit are observed, means they are going to observe particular type of fruit which is seen in case of the Fabaceae family, because pea, bean, gram or belong to Fabaceae family that we are going to discuss in the upcoming lecture. Now after dehiscence or legume, the second type of fruit which we are going to discuss, that is siliqua. If you talk about siliqua, siliqua developed from bicarpillary, means flower has a two carpel, syncarpus, superior ovary, with parietal placentation. Okay, from this particular siliqua fruit are developed. Now how the dehiscence occur, that is the particular important point is here. Here also dehiscence occur from both dorsal and ventral suture. Dehiscence occur from both dorsal and ventral suture, but dehiscence start from lower part or base and reach to apex. So here dehiscence is going to occur from base to the apex. And in this, when dehiscence occur from base to apex, you will see that this dehiscence when occur, it is seen in case of mustard. That is Brassica campestris. You will see that in this mustard, the initially fruit is present like this. But when it open, when dehiscence occur, these two parts are getting separated from base to apex, and you will see presence of seed on this particular axis. Here, this axis on which the seeds are present, that is known as replum. That is known as what? Replum. See, this is its whole part. This is its whole body, which is you are seeing here. Okay, but the dehiscence is occurring from base to the apex, so because of this, it is placed in silica. Now here in ovary, if we talk, initially this ovary is unilocular, but later on it become bilocular. So let's note down this particular point, that in silica initially ovary is unilocular, but due to formation of false septum, which is also known as the replum, it become bilocular. Ovary become bilocular. And on this false septum, you will see the presence of seeds which are attached. So such type of fruit is found in a mustard, and that is Brassica. Okay, so this is a siliqua. Now, this siliqua, as we have discussed, it is seen in case of the mustard, that is Brassica campestris. We remember this Brassica campestris or mustard belong to the Brassicaceae or crucifery family. Which family it belong? Brassicaceae or crucifery family. In this, you will find this particular fruit, that is siliqua. Now, another third type of fruit which is seen in case of this dry dehiscent fruit, that is silicula. And if we talk about this silicula is nothing but a modified silica. Why it is modified silica? Okay, so in this you will see it is nothing but small, broad, small, broad, flat silica. So it is nothing but a, we can say, reduced form of silica. And this reduced form of silica is fused, and such type of silica is belong to or seen in some example like candy tuft, which is also known as Iberis amara, and capsule. This belong to again Brassicaceae or Crucifery family. Okay, so this is the another type of fruit, that is a silica in case of the dry dehiscent fruit. Now after this, the next type of dry dehiscent fruit which is seen, that is capsule, and which is a fourth type. In this fourth type, it is known that the dehiscence or a rupture of the dry pericarp occur in different ways, and seeds are getting liberated. So here the dehiscence occur in various method. And if we talk about this various method is seen in some of the example like cotton and datura. Like this in cotton you will see, in datura you will see such type of dehiscence. But in which way this liberate in cotton and datura, that we need to discuss. So let's discuss the type of capsule. When we discuss types of capsule, we come to know that the first type is porocidal capsule. And this porocidal capsule is seen in case of the poppy plant. Poppy means opium plant. And this opium plant is also known as Papaver somniferum. In this, seeds are released or liberated through pores. If we see the fruit of this opium, it is going to look like this. And here you will see the presence of pore. Actually, through this pore, the seeds are getting released. Because of this, it is known as porocidal capsule. The second type of capsule which we are going to study here, that is a loculicidal capsule. In loculicidal capsule, seeds are released through a locule or valve. And if we see that particular loculicidal capsule, and if we take about the example is ladyfinger. And this ladyfinger, if we see, ladyfinger, it is in ladyfinger. The scientific name of it is the Abelmoscus esculentum. Okay. And another example of this loculicidal capsule is cotton. So in this, if we draw a diagram of ladyfinger, actually it look like something this. Okay. Now when this are the locule or valve, if breakdown occur from this locule or valve, the fruit will somewhat look this ladyfinger will somewhat look like this. And seed will be released like this. So such thing is known as loculicidal capsule. Okay, dear students, and there are some more type of capsule, but there are no need to discuss that because this two mainly you will get in a particular different question. Okay, so this is what about the capsule, and that is all about the dehiscent fruit. Now, after dry dehiscent, we are going to discuss the dry indehiscent fruit. And in dry indehiscent fruit, if we discuss, then in dry indehiscent fruit, the pericarp is not going to dehisce or break. So in dry indehiscent fruit, pericarp or dry fruit wall does not dehisce even after maturity, even after maturity or ripening, and such fruit are called as indehiscent fruit. Means here pericarp is dry and it is not able to dehisce or break automatically to rupture the seeds. So later on decomposition will happen by the some of the insects, microbes, or by the particularly we can say human interference, and then this seeds will be released. So this simple dry fruit are generally small. This fruit are generally small and single seeded. They are generally small and single seeded. So if we talk about this, the types of this dry dehiscent fruit, the first type which we discussed, that is the caryopsis. In this caryopsis, the pericarp and seed coat are fused together and they are seen as a one in case of the grasses like organism. And it is seen in case of the rice, maize and wheat. Okay. And you will see this pericarp, which is in which seed coat and pericarp are completely fused. See here. This is the pericarp and this is the endosperm. So seed coat is going to be present here. So this seed coat and this pericarp is completely fused. But this caryopsis fruit are a small and one-seeded dry fruit, but which develop from monocarpillary superior ovary. And Here, the pericarp is fused with a seed coat completely, and they look like a single. And this fruit are present in rice, okay, then wheat, maize, etc. And these all are examples of the family Graminae, a monocot family, a grass family, which is also known as Poaceae family. Okay, so that is the caryopsis when the pericarp is completely fused with the seed coat. The second type is the achenes. In this achenes, if you talk, the thin dry pericarp is free from seed, except one point. So they are free from seed except one point, then it is known as achene. This achenes, it is known that developed from monocarpillary superior ovary. Monocarpillary superior ovary. And if we talk about the examples of this achenes, then the examples are Mirabilis jalapa, this Mirabilis jalapa is also known as 4 o'clock plant. So 4 o'clock plant, Mirabilis jalapa, is in here. And here in this, pappus is absent. You should remember this example, and you also remember that pappus is absent. Pappus is nothing but persistent sepal after fruit formation. Okay, so suppose this is the seed coat. This is a dry seed coat. And in this dry coat, seed is free from the seed coat, or pericarp is free from the seed coat. But if you talk about this seed, then seed is attached at only one point. So pericarp is free from the seed coat of a seed except one point. Then it is known as achenes. It is seen in case of the Mirabilis plant. Okay. Now, after this, the third type which is seen in dry nascent fruit, that is Cypsela. If we talk about the Cypsela, it is also a small one-seeded dry fruit, but it developed from bicarpillary syncarpous inferior ovary. Now in this Cypsela, In this Ipsela, the pericarp or fruit wall or fruit wall are free from seed, and in this pappus is present. Now pappus is what? Persistent sepals, and this pappus, if present, they help in fruit dispersal. So if we talk about this and we draw a particular diagram of this particular pappus, it is seen in case of, if we take an example, it is seen in case of the sunflower and marigold, which are the example of Asteraceae or Compositae family. And in this, you will see that suppose this is the fruit, this is the seed, and this is the pericarp, a dry pericarp, and over this dry pericarp you will see this presence of some persistent calyx, and this persistent calyx or sepal, it is known as pappus. Okay, so it is seen in case of the sunflower and marigold. That is a third type of fruit, that is achenes. Now after this Cypsela, so it is characterized by persistent calyx, we have discussed. Okay, so see in this diagram as well, you can see that there is a tridex, and here also pappus is present. And if we talk about this, this is the pappus which is present on the fruit. Here in the another diagram also you can see the particular pappus. The next one is a nut. Now if we talk about the nut, it develops from the multicarpillary or polycarpillary syncarpous unilocular ovary. The pericarp is somewhat stony in this, and it is thin in case of the cashew nut, and it is obviously single seeded one. Okay, so in this cashew nut you can see this is the false fruit because this is a thalamus actually. Okay, and this is the true fruit. Okay, so in cashew nut, if we talk, you can see the particular presence of fruit hard stony covering. The fruit wall is hard. You can see this true fruit in this fruit wall is tough, hard and dry. So because this, it is present in the nut. Now apart from nut, in nut another example is seen, that is known as cashew nut. Actually in this also if we talk, it is not, it is actually, it is what, it is fleshy thalamus, and here you will see the presence of a dry seed coat, dry pericarp, sorry. But when we talk about the another example of nut, that is lychee. If we talk about lychee, in lychee, epicarp and mesocarp are fused epicarp and mesocarp are fused and give leathery appearance and give leathery appearance. Whereas endocarp is membrane like. Endocarp is endocarp is membrane like, thin. Okay, and the additional coat which is seen around this, that is what a array. If we draw a diagram, you can mark it, understand it properly. If we take a cross section, this type of thing is seen. In this is the fleshy area, okay, which is edible part. And this area, if you see, which is seen in between the seed and pericarp. See, this is the seed, and this is the pericarp, dry pericarp. Between this dry pericarp and seed, you will see this particular fleshy part. Actually, what we eat in this area is nothing but this particular, we can say, area. And it is nothing but considered as, area is considered as third integument. It is considered as third integument of ovule, and it is nothing but an extension or a extension of funiculus. It is a third integument of ovule, and it is a extension of ovule. Okay, then we call it as a array. Okay, so this is the part in case of the lychee, which is also a fruit which is a nut. And after this, a next type of, fifth type of fruit which is seen in case of this. That fifth type of fruit is samara in case of dry indehiscent fruit. And if we talk about this samara, these are the single seeded fruit, and this dry indehiscent fruit have a single seeded winged fruit. These are single seeded fruit which have a winged pericarp. So they are also a winged fruit, we can say. So in this fruit, the pericarp develop as a wing-like structure. Pericarp modify into wing-like structure that help in fruit dispersal. Okay, and if you take example, it is seen in case of the Dioscorea. Okay, so if we draw a diagram of this, they have a seed like this. This is a seed coat, and over which, if you see, The pericarp, this pericarp look like this. This is a winged pericarp. Okay, and this is the seed. Okay, so this is a particular type of fruit, dry indehiscent fruit, that is called a samar. Now let's talk about the another type of fruit, that is a schizocarpic fruit. So dear students, let's talk about the another topic in is of dry fruit, another type of dry fruit, that is schizocarpic fruit. Now actually this schizocarpic fruit, if we talk, they are also known as splitting fruit. Splitting fruits. Okay. In this, actually these are multi-seeded fruit. These are multi-seeded fruit. But after ripening, but after ripening, they break or split and divide into single seeded part. So when the multi-seeded fruit which divide into the single seeded part, then it is known as schizocarpic fruit. Usually they have a single seeded, two seeded can be possible. And in this, the single seeded part can be dehiscent, means which release automatically seeds, or indehiscent. If the single seeded part is dehiscent, then it is called as cocci. And the indehiscent single seeded part is known as mericarp. Now, in this, different types of fruit have been described. Actually, 5 types of fruit have been described. But according to the previous year knowledge, only one type is mainly asked in case of this, and that is a lomentum. Which type is usually they ask? Lomentum. Which is a type of schizocarpic fruit that we are going to discuss. So this is a fruit which is a multi-seeded and it breaks into the single-seeded part or single-seeded mericarp. So it break into single seeded mericarp. And this single seeded mericarp on maturity or after maturity get separated from each other And if we take an example of this momentum, then example are tamarind, then groundnut. The scientific name of groundnut is Arachis hypogea. This groundnut is also known as peanut. Apart from this, it is also seen in case of the Mimosa pudica. Then it is also seen in case of the Acacia nilotica, which is also named as bubble. Okay, in all this, you will see the presence of lumentum. So if we draw a diagram of the lumentum, in case of the Arachis hypogea, you will see that the fruit somewhat on morphological view, it look like somewhat this. And this are the constriction. And if you see internally, they are divided into like this. So these are the mericarp. And in this mericarp, you will see the presence of seeds. Okay. And then this single seeded adjacent part is mericarp. In this it is divided, so it is known as lumentum. Okay. So this is the part of this particular lumentum. So if we see in diagram this acacia and castor, okay, specifically in castor, another type of fruit is seen that is known as regma. But in acacia, you will see the presence type this type of lumentum. So this is all type of what dry fruits which we have discussed. Now in continuation to this here, simple fruits are over. Now we are going to talk about the aggregate fruit. Okay. So if we talk about the aggregate fruit, as we have discussed in the simple fruit, they are developing from the syncarpus gynoecium. Here these are developed from the apocarpus gynoecium. Means the whatever the carpel which are involved, which are many in number usually, they are free from each other. They are in apocarpus condition. So when all the carpels are free in a apocarpus condition, each carpel going to be developed into the fruitlet. And this bunch or a group of fruitlet is known as aggregate fruit. And such type of aggregate fruit, one of the known example for this, that is a custard apple. You can see here, this is the whole fruit actually. This is the whole fruit. But in case of this piece, if you see, that is nothing but a fruitlet. So because of this, it is known as aggregate fruit. So you should, what is need to remember? Free carpel. That is one of the important point. And the group of fruitlet. So X, it is shown in the fruitlet. Now this aggregate fruit, which we have seen under for understanding, we have taken an example of the custard apple. But here there are different types of this aggregate fruit, and this bunch of fruitlet is also known as itarios. Okay, so here aggregate fruit, or we also called them it as a itarios. So let's talk about the different types of aggregate fruit or types of itarios. So in types of itario, first itario which we are going to discuss, that is itarios of Akins. And this itarios of Akins is an aggregate fruit in the which each fruitlet is Akin type. And in akin type, we have studied that the pericast, dry pericast is free from the seed except one point. Such type of Vitarios, if we see example, then it is seen in case of the strawberry, rose, lotus, and ranunculus. In a lotus, if we say, then in lotus it is known that thalamus become fleshy and edible, and akins type of fruitlet are embedded in it in case of the lotus. Whereas in strawberry, thalamus is fleshy and small akins are found on its surface. Okay. So in strawberry, such condition is observed. Whereas in rose, many akins are present. Many akins type of fruitlet are present on cup-like inner surface of thalamus. Okay, so that is the itario of akins. Now after this second type which is seen, that is the itario of berries. And when we talk about itarios of berries, it is aggregation of small berries type of fruitlet. Okay, if we take about the example of it, it is seen in the one of the important example, that is Annona sequemosa. And this Annona sequemosa is known as custard apple, that is staffel. And this in Annona sequemosa, all the berries are arranged densely on thalamus. And the third type of aggregate fruit which are known to seen commonly, that are itario of drupes. And in itario of drupes, if you see in this fruit, many small drupes develops from different carpel. And the example of it are raspberry, and blackberry. And you know that in drupes there is a presence of what? A stony endocarp. So this type of groups of fruitlet or aggregate fruit are seen here. Here maximum you get in question, if you get a definition of the aggregate fruit, what are itarios and the example, and the itarios, these three itarios and their example that you can ask. And mainly in this they ask about the custard apple. Okay, so that you should remember. Now after this aggregate fruit completion, we are going to talk about the composite fruit, and this composite fruit are also known as multiple fruit. So the entire inflorescence in multiple fruit, what happens? Entire inflorescence modify or develop into a fruit. That it is known as composite or compound fruit or multiple fruit. Okay, I hope you are getting this. What it means? Particularly whole inflorescence get modified and form a fruit, then it is known as composite fruit. If we talk about the example, then examples are some of the pineapple and the jackfruit. Okay, in this you can see it is developing from completely from the inflorescence, and these are the individual fruits which are developing from the individual flowers, because in inflorescence many flowers are there. And here same way in jackfruit also this is observed. Now this composite fruit or multiple fruit, if we talk, if we study about them in detail, then all composite fruits are a false fruit. All composite fruits are false fruit. Okay, and in this composite fruit or multiple fruit are of two type. Number one, that is saurosis. And in saurosis, fruit develop from spike, spadix, or catkin inflorescence. Okay, so if any fruit is developing from the spike, spadix, or catkin inflorescence, then we call that type of fruit as a saurosis type of composite fruit. If we take about the example of this, then in this you will see the pineapple. Okay, then jackfruit, and another example that is mulberry. This all are developing from this particular different type of inflorescence. But actually in this, pineapple is a modification of nothing but we can say a spike inflorescence actually. Same way gem fruit is a modification of spadix, and mulberry is a modification of we can say a catkin inflorescence. Okay, so this inflorescence can modify and form other particular different type of fruits, like in case of saurosis. The another type which we discuss, that is a second type, that is syconus, or we can call that syconium. If we talk about syconus or syconium, it developed from hypanthodium inflorescence. It developed from hypanthodium inflorescence. And in this, each pistillate flower develop into akins. Okay. Now, if we talk about the example in which these fruits are found, so obviously the hypothedium inflorescence showing fruits will be the example of this. And if we take about this example, then ficus species show this inflorescence. And in this ficus species, if we take example, then there is a ficus carica, which is the example, which is nothing but a fig, or we call it as a anjeer. Then another one is the ficus religiosa. We call it as a people tree. And apart from this, one more is there, ficus bengalensis, which is also known as banyan tree. So this all fruits, this all type of plants have a particular cyconus type of fruits. Okay. So now, after studying this all three types of fruit, that is a simple, aggregate, and composite fruit, there is a list of some important edible fruits that we are going to discuss. So in this, one of the important example we are taking, that is in botanical garden, the first one, that is a cashew nut. We have discussed this already. The scientific name is Anacardium occidentalis. It is belong to the Anacardiaceae family. Okay, and the type of fruit are nut, and the morphology of the chief edible part, it means which is the edible part, then it is a cotyledon and the fleshy pedicel. Whereas in pineapple, that is the ananas sativus, we call it, it is a bromeliaceae family. There is no need to remember this, but sorosis compound type of fruit are found in this, and the inflorescence and the juicy succulent bract are edible, which are the bract are the leafy structures over this. Then if we take some another example, custard apple, it is also known as Ananas sequomosa, Annonaceae family, aggregate berries, we have discussed it, and the mesocarp, endocarp, each fruitlet in this are edible. Arachis hypogaea is groundnut, which belong to the Fabaceae family, which is a leguminous plant type of fruit, and this cotyledon are edible. Seeds are edible, we can say, in groundnut. Next is the tomato, which is also known as Lycopersicum esculentum, which belong to the Solanaceae family. It is a type of berry fruit, which we have discussed already, and in this, mesocarp, endocarp, and placenta all are edible except seeds. And today, parthenocarpic or seedless tomato are available in the market. Whereas Mangifera indica, mango, is that it is also belong to the Anacardiaceae family. It is a type of drupe fruit which having a stony endocarp, and in this, mesocarp is mainly edible. Another some examples are like Oryza sativa, which is a rice paddy, which belong to the Poaceae monocot family, which belong to the Caryopsis, in which seed coat is completely fused with the pericarp. Okay, and in this, endosperm is edible. Whereas in Pisum sativum, that is a garden pea, Fabaceae, it belongs to the Fabaceae family. It is also a leguminous plant, and in this, if we talk, then cotyledons are particularly edible. Whereas in case of the Pyrus mellus, if we talk, it is a common name is apple, and it belongs to the Rosaceae family. Okay, palm fruit. In this, fleshy thalamus or false fruits are edible. Okay, fleshy thalamus is edible. That is a false fruit. Okay. So let's talk about some of the examples. Dry fruits are fleshy, non-fleshy, dry. So obviously they are going to be non-fleshy and dry fruits. Example of dry fruit: apple is a fleshy fruit, groundnut is a lomentum, and cashew nut is a nut. So both are the dry fruits. Pericarp is stony in case of nut. The pericarp and seed coat are fused together in Caryopsis type of fruit, which is in the Poaceae family. Peppers like calyx is seen in calyx is a persistent calyx, and when persistent calyx is known as pepex, it is seen in case of the tridex. Okay, or we can say the marigold and the sunflower. Example of aggregate fruit is obviously custard apple because pineapple is composite fruit, cotton and cashew nut are the dry fruits. Okay, so dear students, so here the complete fruit part is over. I hope I tried my best to deliver it. I hope you understood it. Okay, so revise this topic and understand the basic theme. In this in NCRT, mainly droop is given. That droop is too much important. Okay, other information is necessary for the overall knowledge, and some questions are also getting asked from the other topics. Okay, so thank you, everyone.